Hey guys, what's going on? Bob here from Buttered Popcorn Reviews, and today I want to talk about the new Stallone film, Escape Plan 3, The Extractors. For those of you who have never seen any of the Escape Plan movies, the first one, which was a theatrical release, stars Sylvester Stallone as a... his job is that he gets himself put into prisons so that he can break out and show the security faults in any of these prisons. That's basically the plot of the first movie. The second movie was similar, although had nothing, almost no Stallone in it at all. And the third one picks up more towards what the first one was like. Basically, in this one, Stallone he plays a character named Ray Breslin, where he is kind of roped into what originally looks like just a ransom situation. A high-powered businessman, his daughter, who's also a businesswoman, a Chinese diplomat, is kidnapped, and originally they're thinking it's just being held for ransom, but she's being held at a high-secure prison called Devil's Station, which is side note, is the same prison where they shot The Shawshank Redemption, apparently, and several other films. But at any rate, so Stallone kind of gets roped into this, and then it turns out that it's actually not just a normal ransom situation. The whole thing was a setup to get Stallone's character involved, because the villain in this film is played by Devon Sawa, who is introduced in this film as the son of a former kind of comrade gone bad of Ray Breslin from the first film, basically. So this is kind of his son is out for revenge. So the original film was I thought was really great. It kind of came out of nowhere. When it came out, it was all of a sudden, it's just, here's a new Stallone movie and it's going, theatrical. Stallone is one of those guys who has become like a Bruce Willis or a John Cusack, of course less so on the action, but where he'll probably do 50 movies a year and 45 of them are released on DVD and Blu-ray only, they're direct to DVD, and then he'll have a couple of big blockbuster movies, every year, every other year. So, this movie went straight to DVD, but then later this year he's going to have Rambo 5, which will probably be huge, and in my opinion looks great. So, he's one of those guys who can do that. In the second Escape Plan movie, he's in it very, very minimally. Obviously, it was kind of just that he was there for a selling point. Same with Dave Bautista, who appears in the second film, but minimally. And then both of those characters come back in this movie, and it's the majority of the film. This movie goes a little bit more into martial arts too. It does co-star Zhang, who is probably best known, at least in my opinion, for the Ip Man series, where he plays Cheng Tin Chi. He was also recently in Master Z, which is kind of like Ip Man 3.5, really, and it follows that same character. And I think he is a total badass. Every movie that guy that Zhang has been in is just awesome. He's just cool as hell. And in this, he's just a lot of very well choreographed, super cool fights that gets involved in, and then it kind of goes towards the end, and where Stallone comes in, and Stallone is ripped for a dude who's in his 70s, right? He's in better shape now than he probably was in his 40s, thanks to all the HGH that he does. But this movie kind of has a really kind of piss poor weak ending, in my opinion. With all the awesome fight scenes and the martial arts that take place throughout the film, then it starts to get into the gruff. Bautista comes in and he's blowing people away with this shotgun with exploding shells, which looked cool but is ridiculous. And then the final fight scene between Stallone and Devon Sawa was probably never going to work. I liked Devon Sawa. It was kind of refreshing to see him. It seems like it's been a while since we've seen Devon Sawa in a movie. But if you know who Devon Sawa is, you're talking Idle Hands, SLC Punk. He's not a jack dude, and he's a little bit bigger in this, and he's older. but we don't see him, fighting throughout this whole movie, and he's playing a menacing, a menacing villain, and he's an evil dude, and he's bigger than he used to be. But just watching this whole movie and knowing that it's going to end in a fight scene between Stallone and Devon Sawa, I mean, it'd be like an elephant crushing a mouse. It's just ridiculous. And then I saw a thing recently that said, an interview that Stallone gave where he said that they didn't choreograph that at all. It was just kind of like him and Devon being like, you want to go for this? Let's do it. So it really is Stallone just beating the absolute hell out of Devon in these little cells in the prison, towards the end of the movie. And I don't think it's giving away anything to say that they have a big fight scene at the end, because of course they do. It's an action movie, and Stallone's going to take on the main villain, obviously. But overall, I mean, I thought the movie was pretty good. I really enjoyed Escape Plan when I saw it in the theater and on repeat viewings. I do not remember Escape Plan 2 at all. I watched it once. It didn't hold my attention. I do recall, I guess, having a little bit of cool martial arts, but it was not a Stallone film, really. Not that matters. If it had been a good story or made well, it might have held my attention a little bit more, but I don't even remember it. This movie, which started shooting before the second one was even released, and without a completed script, to my understanding, what I was reading, it certainly ends up being way better than Escape Plan 2, but doesn't hold up to the original in any way. It's a fun action movie. Aside from the cast I already mentioned, it brings back 50 Cent. And he's in it minimally, but he's always kind of fun to watch, and he's a little bit of the comic relief in this. But overall, I'd say it was a good watch. It went straight to DVD and Blu-ray, and it came out a few weeks, actually probably a couple months ago now at this point. And it's by the numbers I feel like you can get as far as an action movie goes in the arc. It's a little bit messy in my opinion. I think some of the story is a little wonky and doesn't really make any sense. But overall, I think that if you're just looking for kind of a mindless action movie, you could do a whole hell of a lot worse for sure. That's pretty much it on that. I don't think that there's a lot to say. I think it's like I said, it's a halfway decent action movie. It certainly doesn't hold up to the original, but I think it's miles better than the second one, which, like I said, I don't even remember was so bad. Stallone has said recently that he really wants his new production company to kind of become the Blumhouse of action. I was trying to look up a little bit of information on the companies that released this movie, and there's like a half a dozen production companies that were involved in this movie, which is kind of funny for how low budget the movie probably is. I couldn't actually find any information on the budget, but I would say probably the majority of the budget for this film went right to Stallone, if I had to guess. So it's definitely worth picking up. I think you can get it pretty cheap everywhere now. You can rent it. I noticed it's on Amazon for like $2.99 or $3.99 on Prime. I would say pick it up in a red box if you're looking for a good, popcorn munching summertime afternoon movie. It's definitely worth your time for that. If you're a fan of Stallone or you're a fan of the Escape Plan series, I definitely would. I would say go for it. Even if you hated the second one, I'd say this one really kind of brings it back around a little bit, makes it have a little bit more feel of the first one, but also, I don't want to say modernizes it, but gives it a little bit of a different spin. What with the kind of the Chinese backstory that brings in a lot of these extra actors and these martial artists who just totally destroy. And I think, it really is just kind of boosting the action of this movie. So definitely check it out if you have a second. I would say it's worth the 85 minutes for sure. Also, while you're checking out that, why don't you check out us on Facebook at facebook.com/officialbutteredpopcorn, and then check us out on our website too. It's official-butteredpopcorn.com. It's not. It's actually buttered-popcorn.com. See, losing my mind today. It's a Friday afternoon. That's what you get. Buttered-popcorn.com will get you to our website where we do all of our 4K reviews, movies, movie reviews, Blu-rays, upcoming news, and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.